I'm Jenni Jorgensen. I'm a nurse practitioner and I am a co-owner of Frontier Pediatric Partners in Twin Falls, Idaho, and this is sleep training. We're ready to move on to those toddler year sleep training. So we talked about newborn sleep training, kind of setting the stage at the beginning. We talked about sleep training for those 4 to 6 to 12-month-olds, and now we're going to start talking about toddler sleep training. By about a year old, kids should be, for the most part, sleeping through the night. Obviously, if they're teething, if they're sick, if they're going through a big growth spurt, you might have times when they don't sleep through the night, and that's when you really need to use your mommy and your daddy intuition and be like a little bit of a detective. Okay, are they sick? Do we got a tooth coming in? Oh, they were with Jimmy and he had a nasty runny nose and I knew we shouldn't have been around Jimmy. I bet we're getting sick. You don't sleep train when those things are going on because your kids need you for those things. So if they're waking up in the middle of the night, that's them saying, hey, there's something going on, you need to take care of me. But assuming they're healthy, your kids should be pretty much sleeping through the night from a year on. So let's talk about if they're not. If you have that 2-year-old that is still getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning and paddling into your bedroom and waking everybody up, and then they get in the bed and then they're like a little tornado and nobody's sleeping. Let's talk about what do we do. First things first is routine. So this is gonna kind of sound like a broken record at this point. Routine, routine, routine. Our brains like routine. It helps us know what to expect. It helps us know what to do. And so you wanna have a pretty set routine with your toddlers. We go to bed around the same time, we wake up at the same time, and before we go to bed, we do about the same routine. And generally giving them about an hour to get into that routine is a really good thing. So number one thing to start with is no screens, a good hour to 2 hours before bedtime. Screens just keep us awake. And I would even start dimming the lights in your house. Turn off some of the overheads, just use your lower lights, make everything a little bit dimmer so that that's just telling that brain, hey, the sun's going down, it's time for us to go to bed, this is what we're doing. So set your routine and then go through your routine. We brush our teeth, we take a bath, we read a book, we sing a song. I want you to do your routine and do that every single night and do that consistently. So you go through your routine and then you put your toddler down in bed and then you're gonna walk out. And at that age, if you are having to sleep train for the first time, you might walk out and then say, I'll be right back in and I'll check on you in a little bit. And you walk out and then a minute or 2 minutes later, you walk back in and you say, oh, you're still in bed. I'm so proud of you, good job. I'll be right back, I'll come check on you. And then you walk out again. And then vary the time between in and out. And basically what you're doing is you're reassuring them it's bedtime, mommy's still here, daddy's still here, I love you, this is what we're supposed to do. And you go in and out and in and out until they fall asleep. If they get up and they come to you, all you simply do is say, oh, it's bedtime. We go to bed. Don't scold them, don't make a big deal at them, don't scream at them, but also don't spend a lot of time engaging. It's bedtime. Same thing you said when they laid them down first. Hold their little hand, pick them up, take them to bed, lay them back down, stay in bed, it's time to go to bed, and you walk in and out. And so they'll start realizing just through cause and effect that this is our routine and this is what we're gonna do. And then the same goes for in the middle of the night. Typically, it's similar to those younger ages. If you're that broken record and you're that broken record for about 3 days, they get it and they'll start sleeping. And it takes generally, I would say for toddlers, about 2 weeks of consistency to really nail it. But within even 3 days, you'll normally start finding that they're gonna stop getting up, they're gonna fall asleep faster, you're gonna have to do less of that. Camping's another alternative, like I mentioned before in the other video. So instead of maybe that in and out, you could just camp there. And I'm gonna stand there and I'm gonna hold your hand and then I'm gonna maybe stake it back out. I mean, you can even at that point, put a podcast in your ears and listen to a podcast while you just hang out. You wanna interact with them as little as possible. It's more just your physical presence there if you're using the camping method, but you wanna be consistent. So you're consistent when you put them to bed, you're consistent when they wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning, whatever it is. So same bedtime routine, consistency, and then you want to wake up and have your set wake up time for those toddlers too. So most toddlers are going to need about 15 to 16 hours of sleep a night. And so if you figure they can get 10 to 12 through the night, and then they're gonna get a nap or two through the day. So if you, that can kind of give you also a gauge for like what's a realistic time frame from what time to what time. And I'd say probably 10 to 12 hours is what you should expect of toddlers for sleep. And then generally by about 4 years old, they should be hopefully sleeping through the night at that point. And also around 4 is when you find they're gonna start needing more like 12 hours of sleep. You tend to see that nap goes away and you'll just get a consistent 12 hours all night long.